Welcome to part 2 of the trading plan, where we're just going to be breaking down the weekly on Ethereum and continue where we left off. So from here, we start from left to right. We can see we've got a nice bullish move up. It's kind of slowly trending, and then we get this really big high at this zone here, and then we just pull right back down and then create this mini trend within a trend. As you can see, we're not breaking this high, but we've got a high and a low inside this zone here, and then we actually make our brand new high, which takes out this one. It's also good to remember that price is going to be doing one of three things: trending up, trending down, or moving sideways. And I'm just going to mark that out on the chart so you can see what's happening. These are lows, they're getting higher, they're getting higher, but then this low gets taken out by this one. So now we know when this bull run is over. So let's mark out the market structure. So I'm just starting here just so you can kind of see how the pattern forms. And the low would be this one. Okay, so we broke up here. That was the break up. So we make our new market structure at this point. So in November, on the 8th of November that week, it would have been there, and then the fractal low would be right there. So that would be a nice bullish market structure. So at this stage, we would say, yeah, look, the bulls are still in control. We've got our highs, and we've also got our bullish market structure, and price is coming right down, which we can expect. But as long as we don't close below this level or take out, oh look, it took out that level, obviously. So we know that, you know, that run is over, and now we are in a bearish market structure. And the fractal high is this one right there. As you can see, we're in a bearish market structure, and we've broken this bull trend. So we can expect price to possibly continue downwards, or it's going to move sideways for a while. We're a little bit off symmetry in terms of what's happening. We haven't got a clear bearish trend yet, even though we're in a bear market structure. So we move on to the next step. Do we have any demand zones? There are quite a few, but can you spot them? Drop something in the comments if you can see where you think those are. So first we break up here, and we even obviously bought this level here. So right there, this is your kind of the first one that takes my eye, right below this market structure here. So we could expect price could just wick into this area and then continue out, and you know, you'd be happy that you had some orders in this zone here, or you took a setup in this area. What are the other ones? So price broke through this level. I will draw this out just to show you ones that do not always hold, because price does not always hold its support or resistance, and it does not always. So we broke this fractal here. This created this zone, dibbied for a little bit, and then broke right through it. So even one wick out, we are invalidating this zone, and it is no more. And then for the vice versa, we've got our demand zones. So how about supplies? So price broke this fractal here, and it's just the reverse. So the first green candle that took place before this move happened. So before price broke here, we're looking left and we're going, what's the first kind of green candle at the, you know, the base of that move? So we can see it's right here. I'm also going to include this red one here. You can be a little bit more expansive with these zones and take it to the next opposing candle. So that would be, see this red one here. But at the same time, I do like to keep it refined just to keep the stop small. So, you know, play around with it, demo, see what works for you. I like to keep it as concise as possible. So I'm just going to keep it on the green candle there, a nice small zone. So that stop would be, you know, you're looking at just a few $100 right there, as opposed to almost double that. It's always good to annotate, just reinforce everything in your mind so you know what's happening. Also, you can put the time frame there so you know that this is a weekly demand zone, this is a weekly supply zone. So these are big levels. You know, we can expect price to come into these zones and have a big rejection. As we can see, price hasn't even come back to it yet. So once that bull run starts to happen, this would be that first area of resistance. And then the same for here. What's going to happen when price gets into this zone, if it gets into this zone? Okay, and I'll draw one more. So we see price break this fractal here. There's your zone. This time, because it's so small, I'm actually going to take into consideration that green candle. I try not to leave too much subjectiveness to the trade and keep everything kind of objective as possible, but there are going to be times when you're going to look at the trade and be like, okay, let me change this or let me adapt that based on what you're seeing. The way zones work is pretty straightforward. You would just have your stop based at the bottom of those zones, and then your targets based on your strategy. You take your targets. So for me, targets, I like to go to previous levels, either structure or previous swing highs. So that would be a first target, and then this would be a second target, obviously right in that zone. You know, I'd probably be more modest and say right here, because price does not have to go deep into any of these zones before it can turn away. It can just dip in slightly and then catapult right out of it. And then lastly, we're just going to move on to the daily and do the same thing. So jump to the daily. Now those zones have disappeared because I've just kept them on the weekly, but this one is actually quite important. So I'm going to actually show you that on the daily. Typically, I like to keep these on at least two time frames. So a weekly zone, I would like to see it on the daily as well, just to refresh my mind. But just for the video, so don't get too cluttered up, I'm just going to hide the rest of them. So you're only going to see this one because I'm going to come to that later. All right. So as we mentioned before, what's price doing here? We've come down, not a very pretty trend at all in terms of what we're seeing. It's just super strong bullish moves and then drop down drastically. We've pulled up, we're breaking highs, we're breaking lows, and we're breaking highs here. Prices come up and you can see we're bullish, and then we come down and now it's all bearish. There's your swing high, come down, another swing low, sorry, lower swing high and lower swing high, lower and lower. Got our swing lows as well. And then once price comes back up, it breaks this level here, right there. So that's the importance of reading it left to right. So we can see that this was a bearish downtrend. So everyone's saying, oh, you know, the market is down, the market's down. Yeah, it's been down, but now what's happened here, we've actually broken the level. So even though we're still coming right down into this zone here, which is very important, we can see that we've actually broken this previous downtrend. So that tells you that these sellers are no longer around, they're done. It doesn't mean that the price is going to continue rallying up, but it just means that if there's going to be any new selling, then we've got to see a setup for that. It's not a continuation of this structure here. Okay, so we've got our trend in place. We know that, you know, this downward trend is over and we're not really yet in a bullish trend, though we've got our initial beginnings of one. We've got our lows, we've got our high, but we've come right back into this zone. Though it is important to note that we have broken this fractal, because it is a fractal at the same time. I'm just going to do a quick recap. I will be doing future videos on more detail going into those individual points. So for now, we've got the top most highest time frame. That's what you always want to start with, and then you annotate that. You work your way from left to right, reading the chart like a book, marking out your market structure, identifying the trend, looking for symmetry. Is a trend and the market structure in line with each other? It doesn't have to be, but you know, if you want to take a class A type trade, then that is what you're going to be looking for. And then is price at the uppermost or bottommost of your market structures? Basically, if you're looking to buy, you're in a bullish market, then you want to see price come in close to this market structure as possible, or close down, similar to a pullback type of motion. And then that's when you know you can go and take all of this money up here, and it's the same, and then it's vice versa for a sell. And then finally, how many levels of confluence are stacked up in our favor within this trade setup? That's what we look for. And then obviously we always want to keep an eye on at least 2 or 3 time frames when we're doing our setups. 1 for the long term, figuring out the motion, and then 2 or 3 for our entries. And that is all I have for you. Thanks for watching.